Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup. I'm Neeraj Shah with Inamdar, and the pertinent part for today's trade seems to be that the world has taken a bit of a pause after a good rally. But for India, amongst other things, oil prices have come off. So for the day, there is a small positive sentiment. Good morning, Tamanna.
Good morning, Neeraj. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Trade Setup. It's been, I would say, good cues all around. The big question globally is all of this excitement that we saw last week after the Fed indicated that it was in no mood to increase interest rates, might even consider elongating that pause. Will it continue? Let's just tell you what's been happening overnight. Wall Street closed in the green for the 7th straight session. In fact, the S&P and NASDAQ clocked its longest winning streak in 2 years. Yes, a tempered increase, but definitely up in the green. The 10-year Treasury has slid on U.S. economic outlook. In fact, that also led to a good bounce in tech stocks, and that's why the NASDAQ was up for its 8th trading session. So bonds are in check. Wall Street is in the green, and crude is softening. Like you said, Neeraj, crude is the big story over here. Brent below the $80 mark, and we're seeing that relief continue. And for India, that's always good news. I just want to talk about the Asian markets as well, because they've continued to be positive on business sentiment in Japan. So that data is positive. Kospi, I would say, is an outlier there because they have their own story going on with that short selling ban. Stocks ran up, and then there was profit taking, etc. So that's sort of the global news flow that we're seeing. But Neeraj, what's the trade setup looking like?
Yeah, well, if Indian markets can do what Microsoft has done post the OpenAI move and hitting all-time highs, then it's great news. But, well, let's wait and watch what happens there. So, global triggers, I would reckon, are largely quiet, save for oil price dip, which is a sentiment positive. And usually it works out maybe with a bit of a lag, that the sentiment at least prevails positively, which is a good thing. And we need that. After 3 days of a move, yesterday was a bit of a pause. We had come off a little bit. Can we reverse that, or can we kind of stay steady at those levels? So that's one key thing. The beauty about what's happening in the last few days is that people haven't felt the need, or you don't need to feel the need to preempt a lot of things, because post results, just the commentary that is coming in, and even if you're betting on stocks post the commentary, post the result analysis, that is happening in a really good way. I mean, we saw that happening with Trent. We saw that happening with Varun Beverages. You were highlighting that con call takeaways yesterday. Yeah. Alchem Labs, very strong move, even though it is, as per notes today, just a one-quarter phenomenon, or a Bikaji. All of those have either given good results, good commentary, and the stocks have risen post that. So no need to go out and be a hero and preempt in these times. And, yesterday, for the first time in so many days, for the last 4 days, I've been saying on Trade Setup that at some point of time, trees don't grow to the sky. So real estate, after having a manic move the last few days, we'll see a bit of a pause. Just the stuff that I gather from people who are looking at these stocks from a net present value perspective or earnings perspective, this pause is not likely an end to the rally. It is a pause to what's happened in the recent past. But look at the multi-decadal or multi-year view. It seems that everybody's still betting on real estate being one principal sector to drive gains going ahead.
I just want to add to the real estate point, because, some interesting conversations that I've had with people from the industry, and fundamentally what's driving it is these massive registration numbers. Your MMR is the largest area. It's seen decadal highs in registration. That's what's exciting. Good numbers coming in from the players as well in Q2. But just a couple of things that I want to add. Part of that conversation was that 80% of the registrations in Mumbai which took place were new developments, but a lot of it is redevelopment, which generally takes a longer lag. So that's one thing to look for. How many of these players are in the redevelopment play? And as inventory builds up, and we're seeing that in the pollution levels in Mumbai and Delhi, frenetic building, are you going to have concerns of unsold inventory piling up in the first half of the next calendar year? So those are the only two things that perhaps the street needs to watch out for when we're talking about the real estate play.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's see. I mean, it'd be lovely to see if the management commentaries over the next 2 quarters of the consolidated larger players cite that as a concern, or they say that, hey, we are picking up gains from or share from the other players. So let's see how it goes. But good day for results, very big day for results, even if not necessarily on the Nifty side. So that is interesting as well.
Yeah, so of course, some of the numbers that we'll definitely watch out for, and there's always a long list of results today, but some which we thought that we'd highlight. Pidilite Industries, Lupin, Bharat Heavy Electricals, MCX, everyone wants to see what's happening there after their new platform has onboarded. Brigade Enterprises, also since we're talking about real estate, Sri Renuka, Vishnu Chemicals, another hot space in terms of how that sector is doing, Raymond and Nazara Technologies. What's been happening there. So these are some of the results that we'll definitely look out for in trade today.
Yeah. Okay. Stocks to watch and lots of things. So non-results, there are two things, actually one, which is Interglobe Aviation. It has said that it anticipates aircraft on ground in the range of mid-30s in Q4 due to accelerated engine removals. But remember, at the same time, they're saying that they've reconfirmed the capacity guidance for Q3 along with the FY24 guidance of the upper range of mid-teens. So that stock remains in focus. And the other one, which I haven't given graphics for, is Hindalco. Now, brokerage notes have come out post Novelis as well. But the thing is, for second quarter, margins have surprised. Expansion is on track. The adjusted EBITDA slid 4%, which is fine, but it's an 8% QOQ improvement and a 6% QOQ increase in volumes. It's on track to reach the US $525 per ton EBITDA by fourth quarter. So watch out for Hindalco in the session today. Then watch out for Shree, since we're talking of commodity stocks. Shree Cement, the numbers on the face of it look good. Ignoring what the estimates were, and brokerages have said that the numbers were aligned with estimates, but just the absolute reportage, 19% uptick revenues, margins expand from 13.39 to 18.45, PAT up 2.5x. Now, Shree's margins in Q2 of the last year were impacted, and therefore this gain is looking a lot more pronounced. But relative to some of the other larger players, Shree has come out with a good set of numbers, so watch out for that. Watch out for JB Chemicals. Revenue growth was okay, 9% odd. But margin expansion again to the tune of 500 basis points, as a result of which 35% uptick in PAT. So, private equity held company now, but is still doing really well. Balrampur Chini, in a period which is seasonally weak for sugar companies, and we've seen that happening with a lot of companies, Balrampur has done really well. The distillery division seems to be firing, 38% uptick in revenue, EBITDA versus a loss, PAT versus a loss, so that does well. Prince Pipes, the revenue number is not that great, but the PAT numbers, the EBITDA numbers look very strong. So that is the other one to keep a keen eye out for in the session today. A lot of mid-sized names, by the way, viewers, keep in mind. Zaggle Prepaid, I mean, look at those numbers. 55% uptick in PAT, margins at 6.9 versus 5%, and PAT up 3.6% for Zaggle. I mean, you couldn't find too many wrong issues. Adjusted EBITDA grew 57% quarter on quarter, and total customers catered up 32% as per the earnings release. Then Dollar Industries, what a comeback by this one. And remember, in a quarter when Lux Industries is disappointed, for Dollar to report the numbers that it has, 21% uptick in revenues, margins up nearly 100 basis points on that base of 9%, and PAT up 43%. Really strong show by Dollar Industries as well. Volumes saw a growth of 40% for Dollar Industries. Very quickly, a few other numbers. Apollo Tyres, much like CEAT, margin expansion is the story, 18.47% versus 11.95%. That's the story for Apollo Tyres. Strong Q2 for a clutch of other names like Skipper, Yathartha Hospital, or Schneider Electric Infra, all of which had a revenue uptick and a PAT uptick. So those did well. Lastly, on the good side, Prestige Estates. Revenues up 56%. We're talking about real estate. Margins at 26.49. PAT up 6x at 910 crores. More importantly, it's the best ever performance by the company because of the healthy launches that they have given, and they are on track to beat the 20,000 crores pre-sales guidance for FY24. That in an economy, in a world economy which is floundering, and an Indian economy which is also a bit soft relative to what it has, is a super performance by Prestige Estates. Just a small update on some companies which haven't done well. Mishra Dhatu Nigam, a howler of a number on the margin front, halved. The margins halved from 32% to 16%, as a result of which the PAT growth was just a single-digit number. Cummins, for the valuation that it trades at, one could have hoped for a better revenue growth for sure. Yes, the margins have done well, very well. Revenue number was a bit amiss. We'll talk to the management today to try and figure out what happened there. And the chemical companies, Deepak Nitrite and Vinati, Deepak at least had a margin expansion. Vinati, a weak quarter.
I just want to add, since you talked about dollar and what a comeback quarter they've had, there's actually something called an underwear index that economists track to look at how an economy is doing. And the thought behind is that if people start spending on innerwear, that means you're really not looking at a recession or at a soft economy, because that's something only you can see and you'll probably spend on it last.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting aside there. I just want to add one brokerage note, because you spoke about Alkem as well. And that's a note that came out this morning from Jefferies, where they have said it's more one quarter. They're a bit uninspired by their Q2 numbers. They're saying it's an aberration. It's unexciting guidance for H2 FY24. The revenue beat estimate, delayed monsoon drove a miss. There's a strong beat in exports, but slower than expected margin expansion due to increased SG&A costs. They think EBITDA margins will lag peers due to a weak India mix. So that's just one note I wanted to point out. Before we wrap up, we have an exciting day on BQ Prime today. You're going to be speaking with Prestige. And since we've been talking so much about real estate, Irfan Razak is with you, CMD Prestige Group. Neeraj will have that conversation at 9:45 today. We, of course, have the F&O show. Ajit Mishra will join us from Religare. Stocks in Focus will see Zaggle Prepaid Ocean Services Management speak with us. That's, again, a conversation that we must really watch out for. Dhanuka will also be speaking with us. MK Dhanuka, the MD, will be with us.
And of course, you'll be talking to the UBS guys on their conference. So messaging from there would be interesting as to what their 5 clients are doing. So that is to be watched out for. Sunil Tirumala and Vishal Goyal join in. So that's the other conversation to tune in, and a clutch of other corporate conversations, to be honest. Of course, the mutual fund show, Samvat 2080, Kshitij Mahajan and Shalini Sekhri talk about what to do in the new Samvat with regard to your mutual fund bets. So tune in for that as well. Pack day on BQ Prime as usual. From all of us who put the straight setup together, thanks so much for watching.
I wish everyone at BQ Prime a very happy Diwali and very festive season ahead. And thank you very much for having me here. It has been a pleasure to be here with you.